Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to the first edition of a brand new review series where I am going to be talking about Stargirl Season 2. And after watching the first season, which I thought was a lot of fun and in my opinion was one of the best DC shows that I have ever seen in recent years, I figured it would make a lot of sense to talk about Stargirl Season 2, especially as the CW have already announced and confirmed that they had picked it up and they were going to tie it into the Arrowverse with the rest of the other shows. So to me, it just made perfect sense, especially as I'm already currently reviewing most of the Arrowverse shows like Superman and Lois, The Flash, Supergirl, and Legends of Tomorrow, to name a few. And for me, Stargirl is a very different kind of show compared to the other shows in the Arrowverse in terms of its tone. Stargirl is a much more brighter, colourful, and at times a very summery kind of DC show. But at the same time, Stargirl isn't afraid to get dark and serious when it needs to be. So the show has a very good balance of dark meets light with humour and seriousness all rolled into one, and it's all wrapped up in a nice neat package, and it's very well done. And also in the show we have characters from the DC comics such as Wildcat, Dr. Midnight, and Hourman. And for those of you who are very familiar with those names, they are members of the JSA, aka the Justice Society of America. And in the show, we have new, younger versions of those characters. So we have Yolanda Montez, Beth Chappell, and Rick Tyler, who take on the mantles of those iconic DC characters from the 1940s. So, as I said, Stargirl is a very different kind of show to the other shows in the Arrowverse, and to me, it's a fantastic show. It's a lot of fun. It isn't afraid to not take itself too seriously, and it's very well written and very well produced, and the music is very powerful, and the budget is very high, and at times the show almost feels like a cinematic movie. And it's great to see Stargirl get some exposure by having her own show, because Stargirl has appeared in live-action DC shows in the past, such as Legends of Tomorrow and Smallville, but those versions of the character were a lot more older and more mature, but the version in this show is a lot younger. She's in high school, and she's trying to juggle her life as a crime fighter and being a school student. So that to me makes a very good show. So, with that all said, we are going to get straight into it. We are going to be talking about episode 1, Summer School, Chapter 1. So, this episode opens decades ago in Melody Hills, Indiana, where we see a little girl named Rebecca wants to go to a party in the neighborhood, but her mother says no because Rebecca misbehaved at the store. As Rebecca sits sadly on the porch, we see a little boy comes into the yard and he introduces himself as Bruce and asks her to come to the party with him, convincing her to defy her mother. Rebecca crosses the street and stands outside the party, pausing to admire all the gifts stacked outside the front door, and Bruce encourages her to steal one as no one would know she was even there. Egged on by Bruce, Rebecca does so, but when she opens it, the doll inside is sinister and evil-looking. It's then we see Bruce's true nature is revealed as he turns dark, holding up a black diamond and admonishing her for being a very naughty girl. Later, Rebecca's mother goes looking for her, and while we don't see exactly what's happened, we see her run across the street and we hear her horrified screams. The little girl turns out to be Rebecca McNider. We then see in the present, in Blue Valley, after the defeat of the Injustice Society, things have been quiet for a while. We see Stargirl leading the JSA out on patrol, but all they find is just a raccoon rummaging in the trash. Stargirl refuses to stop patrol, even though the rest of the team is ready to call it a night. We then see Stargirl in her Courtney Whitmore identity go over the old JSA files, determined to be ready for any threat, and stays up all night. We then see Pat finds her and tells her that her responsibility is to focus on being a normal girl and focus on non-Stargirl life. Courtney insists that Stargirl is her destiny. The next morning, Pat plans a trip to Yellowstone for the family. Mike wants to be taught JSA things so he can be part of the team, but Pat brushes him off. We then see Beth struggles to fix her goggles and bring back Chuck, but fails to do so. She also discovers that her parents are filing for divorce, which devastates her. While driving, we see Rick hears news reports about a bear breaking into local restaurants and realizes it's not a bear but Grundy. So he goes to the woods and discovers evidence of the stolen food. Yolanda stops at a church before school but can't make a confession about Brainwave's death. She just cries, haunted by the memory. She and Courtney meet up to walk to school, and Yolanda suggests that maybe they need a break from the JSA. They notice that Cameron McKenzie is back. Elsewhere, Pat asks a local man named Ziki to watch his garage while he's gone. So as we see, the last day of school begins to wind down. Rick aces his final papers, but a teacher accuses him of teaching and fails him when Rick refuses to take a new test to prove it. We then see at lunch a hypervigilant Courtney attacks Omente's Croc, mistaking the other girl's actions for an attack. We then see the principal ends up calling Barbara and Pat, and it turns out that Courtney has to take summer school because she failed 2 classes. But what they don't know is that the reason why she's failed 2 classes is because she's juggling a secret life as Stargirl. This ruins the planned vacation, and Pat grounds her from being Stargirl for 2 weeks. Away from school, Rick brings food to where he believes Grundy is staying, and Beth tries to set up a romantic dinner for her parents, but they never show up. She also gets Chuck to reboot briefly, but he doesn't recognize her and shuts down for good. Despite being grounded, Courtney is still fixated on JSA business, and later at night her staff lights up when she hears someone in the house. Courtney goes to investigate and finds a young woman, and the two of them begin fighting and trashing the kitchen in the process. We see the young woman has a lantern ring and identifies herself as the daughter of Alan Scott. You guessed it, the original Green Lantern. We then see Zeke, the man that Pat brings on to watch the garage while they're on vacation, finds the strike robot and has some suggested enhancements, volunteering himself to add them, specifically a flamethrower. In Nevada, the man claiming to be Sylvester Pepperton stops at a restaurant where he meets and tells Maggie, the waitress, that he's specifically looking for her ex-husband, the one who he likes stripes. He's looking for Pat Dugan. Oh boy. Cameron McKenzie decides to paint a new mural downtown, and he and Courtney tentatively reconnect. His grandparents look on disapprovingly, though they debate on how to handle the situation, as it's the first time they've seen Cameron happy in quite a while. As for school after hours, we see Cindy, who you remember from season 1, strolls in and accesses the secret Injustice Society lair after retrieving a file from a locker that is labelled Injustice Unlimited. In the lair, she sits at the table and looks at the files, which include the children of the ISA. She tears up Henry Jr.'s photo and then adds a new photo to her files, Mike Dugan. She then pulls out the Black Diamond of Eclipso and declares it's time to do some recruiting. And that's how we end Summer School Chapter 1 and my review. Overall, very good first episode. I really enjoyed this one a lot. Equally as good as Season 1. Loved every second of it. The idea of Alan Scott's daughter showing up is very exciting and really opens the door for a possibility that we could see the original Green Lantern. And also Cindy making her return and putting together a new Injustice gang really sets up for an explosive second season already, and I can't wait. So that's going to be it for me. I am going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 1 of Stargirl Summer School Chapter 1? Did you enjoy it? What was your thoughts on the young woman claiming to be the daughter of Alan Scott? Do you think it's a possibility we could see the original Green Lantern? And also, Cindy is back in town and has decided to put together a new Injustice team. What villains could we see be recruited for this new version of the evil group of villains? And also, what are your thoughts on Courtney trying to juggle her life as Stargirl and being a school student? Do you think she'll be able to keep both lives balanced, or do you think she might actually crash and burn? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Stargirl Season 2 review series, where I am going to be talking about episode 2, which I'm really looking forward to talking about, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. So until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, thanks for listening.